This narrative is a character string generated by an AI, a large language model, statistically arranging words, and its truthfulness has not been verified.
Such outputs without basis are called hallucinations. While confabulation more accurately reflects reality than hallucination, we follow convention.
Therefore, the content described has no relation whatsoever to any real persons, organizations, nations, or events.
Silence of God. Prologue. In March 2026, the Persian Gulf reeked of oil and blood mingled together. 3 weeks had passed since the assassination of Supreme Leader Khamenei. Retaliatory missiles struck Israel and U.S. bases in Iraq, while Revolutionary Guard speedboats seized tankers in the Strait of Hormuz. The death toll had already surpassed 2,000. Chapter 1. Afternoon in Langley. CIA headquarters, underground operations room. 7 men sat around a round table. Acting Director Robert Haynes presided. 3 reports lay on the table. Pentagon estimate: if we go to ground war, at least 2,000 American troops die in the first 3 months. Potentially over 10,000 in the end. No one spoke. The economic analyst opened the second report. If the war lasts 6 months, oil hits $200 a barrel, gasoline $8 a gallon, transportation collapses, and an already inflation-plagued economy spirals into uncontrollable stagflation. The third report came from Homeland Security. Radicalization is accelerating in domestic Muslim communities. 13 terror plots already detected, but no guarantee we stop them all. The next 9/11 is only a matter of time. Haynes drew a deep breath. And the fourth problem, national division. A president with 42% approval started this war, and the remaining 58% call it Trump's war. Congress is paralyzed, streets filled with clashing demonstrations and counter-demonstrations. Silence fell over the room. Finally, the youngest analyst spoke. Our analysis shows the root cause of this war lies with one individual. The assassination of Khamenei, a decision made ignoring constitutional and legal procedures, a single person's choice. Get to the point. If that individual is eliminated, the Islamic world might interpret it as God's judgment, especially if it appears as a natural death. Chapter 2, Ashraf's Prayer. Tehran, a poor southern district mosque. 100 men gathered for dawn prayer, tears streaming as they prayed. Before them hung a portrait of Supreme Leader Khamenei. 40-year-old shopkeeper Ashraf had lost his son in the first retaliatory strike. His face was twisted with grief and rage, yet his eyes were fixed in prayer. O Allah, judge this injustice. Bring your iron hammer upon the oppressors. He was pure, filled with hatred for America, yet he entrusted everything to God in faith. The Imam began his sermon. Brothers, retaliation is our duty, but the final judgment belongs only to Allah. We do all we can. The outcome rests in God's hands. The congregation chanted, Allahu Akbar. Tears fell from Ashraf's eyes. Chapter 3, Night at the White House. Washington, D.C. White House. 2 a.m. In the presidential bedroom, Trump was having a nightmare. Khamenei's bloodied face stared at him. He jolted awake, his left arm numb. A strange sensation. As he tried to stand for water, the world tilted. He collapsed to the floor. He tried to call out, but only unintelligible sounds emerged. His right side would not move at all. Hours later, when Secret Service noticed the anomaly, it was already too late. Official statement: emergency hospitalization due to stroke. The president suffered right-side hemiplegia and severe aphasia. Deemed unable to perform duties. Chapter 4. 2 interpretations. Iran's state television led with the news. The announcer delivered facts in a flat tone, but the religious commentator's words that followed captured hearts. That man was silenced before God. He pays with his own tongue for the words he hurled at the Supreme Leader. His right side is paralyzed because the devil's hand struck Khamenei. Allah has executed justice. In Tehran's mosques, the interpretation spread instantly. Ashraf watched on TV, torn by complex emotions. He still wanted revenge. But the Imam said, Ashraf, your son's blood was not in vain. But now Allah himself has acted. Would further action not trespass into God's domain? Those words planted a small tremor in his heart. In America, reactions diverged sharply. Social media swirled with "Trump was assassinated" conspiracy theories. Supporters took to the streets. Yet whispers of quiet relief, "Now the war will end," also existed. Chapter 5. The Vice President's Decision. J.D. Vance faced his first press conference as acting president. His eyes were calm. 20 years earlier, as a Marine in Iraq's desert, he had not forgotten the faces of young men who died there. "I declare immediate commencement of ceasefire negotiations with Iran." The room buzzed. "Our goal is to prevent more American young people from dying. We seek honorable withdrawal and diplomatic resolution for regional stability with all involved nations." Critics cried weakness, but polls showed support. A majority of Americans wanted the war to end. Chapter 6. The Path to Ceasefire. Muscat, Oman, luxury hotel. Vance's envoy and Iran's deputy foreign minister met in secret. Talk stalled. Iran demanded apology for Khamenei's assassination and handover of the perpetrator. "We cannot apologize, but we deeply regret it." How would Iran take those words? A phone call from Tehran broke the deadlock. Message from the acting Supreme Leader: Allah's judgment has already been delivered. No further human judgment is needed. The atmosphere shifted. Hours later, a ceasefire framework was agreed. America promised phased sanctions relief and full withdrawal from Iraq. Iran pledged to halt retaliatory attacks and guarantee safe passage in the Strait of Hormuz. Chapter 7. Ashraf's Choice. The night ceasefire news reached Tehran, Ashraf returned to the mosque. Reactions split. Some shouted betrayal, others wept, "It's over." Ashraf gazed at his son's photo. 18 years old. What had he died for? The imam placed a hand on his shoulder. "Your son is a martyr. His soul is already in paradise." But living on in hatred would not be his wish. After long silence, Ashraf nodded. "God's judgment has already been delivered, hasn't it?" "Yes, we must accept it." Chapter 8. The End of Silence. 3 months later, Trump passed quietly in hospital. Official cause: complications following stroke. Some mourned, others felt relief. Conspiracy theories lingered, but no one pursued the truth anymore. Vance formalized the ceasefire and addressed Congress. This war left many lessons. The most important: the vulnerability of a system that allows one individual's recklessness. We must never repeat this mistake. In Iran, Khamenei's successor declared, "God's justice has been executed." Many believed it. Epilogue. A gentle sunset sank over the Persian Gulf. Ashraf lowered his shop shutter and looked skyward. He remembered his son's face, a memory that would never fade. Yet today, for the first time, he could gaze at the sky with gratitude rather than hatred. "Allah knows all," he murmured and headed home. In Langley's office, Haynes wrote his resignation. On his desk lay the never-to-be-public Operation Success report. He fed it to the shredder and looked out the window. The same sunset sank over American skies. But the truth was darker. Months later, multiple classified files leaked through different channels. One, records of instructions from the Vice Presidential Office to the White House medical team. Another, traces of Mossad agents contacting White House physicians. Microanalysis of a clot-inducing agent disguised as aspirin overdose. All pointed to a precise operation to make Trump's stroke appear natural. Was it J.D. Vance who gave the order? Or Benjamin Netanyahu? Or perhaps both shared a necessary evil? Trump's recklessness had invited war with Iran, wasted American lives, and threatened Israel's very survival. For Vance, it was a decision to protect America's youth. For Netanyahu, a calculation to secure Israel's safety. Either motive produced the ceasefire. God was silent, so too were humans. Yet somewhere beyond that silence, someone might be quietly smiling. And